Today, we built off the topic essentially what actually works in an offer, as in what sells, is not necessarily what happens. And the reason for this conversation is I've been building out AI sales analysis systems for unbiased results. And what I'm noticing is what everybody thinks works on an offer and what actually results in a sale, the systems, the processes, the attributes, is not what actually has the biggest impact.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we sort of segued off into misdiagnosing situations, which can often come from what you were saying. In the situations you're dealing with right now with AI, the offer owner or the sales manager thinks that ABC is the right way to look at success in this role, but your data then says DEF is, and that was unknown to them. So there was ultimately a misdiagnosis. Now, you've now brought new information to the fore, so we'll see where things change from there. But then that we pivoted from there into misdiagnosis, and we talked about an example that you and I lived through where we were on a roll doing pretty well as sales guys, and the company in our view, misdiagnosed a sales issue as a marketing. What was a marketing issue? They misdiagnosed as a sales issue, and the solution was catastrophic. So much so, us guys were out within a couple of days. And that linked to the meta topic that you're talking about, which is, getting clarity, I guess, on the right way forward based on the situation that you're dealing with. Does it require total control in one way only, or is there adaptability and flexibility? As long as you get to the same destination, like, does it really matter how you get there? So that was what we talked about today.
Perfect. I think that's a good summary. So enjoy. I've been doing, as you know, a lot of AI sales call analysis systems, working with different teams, team managers, sales managers. And
Yep.
I thought a topic that we could talk about, uh,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I'm noticing,
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of team managers and sales managers think works on their offer in their sales process
Mm-hmm.
isn't actually what works.
Okay.
So with some offers, there's a greater element of control and direction. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
other offers, sometimes it's more rapport and relationship building. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
others, it's more giving them space to make their own decisions, uh, and meeting them at a different level.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure how we're going to pull this one apart, but that's something that I've been noticing, because what I was doing is building out scoring and analysis systems based on the way they do things. But then the
Mm,
top performers would score the lowest according to the way that they analyze the calls and the way they want the process done. So
yes.
it's created this whole analysis process within itself of like, well, what actually works with your company, with your offer? And then
Okay.
it's reframing that.
Okay. Well, this is your world. So where do we start the conversation? What will we unpack first?
Mm. So the AI analysis system is I suppose the medium that's brought it forwards. But
Yep.
what we could probably do is use this as a method to talk about, maybe what works with different people, when to, what offers we think, or what kind of industries control would work better on, or more, you know what I mean, firmer sales style, some more relational.
More, ri-
Sorry.
more rigid.
Yes.
Yes. More structured. More rigid. Less space to bring your personality or get really dynamic and creative.
Mm.
Yep. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, good topic. One without notice, as always. So where do we start? I need you to start this one and let me come in and build on it because you're coming in much more prepared than I am on this topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So interestingly enough, one metric that has been scored pretty consistently is every area of the call, you're moving the call forward in some way.
Okay.
That's the constant. But what is
Yep.
inconsistent is
Yep.
control and direction, and
Yep.
rapport and relationship. And I've
Yes.
found that a greater proportion of those that move forward have an element of control and momentum in the call, as opposed to just trying to be their friend.
Right. Right. Well, I guess the first thing you got to do, I mean, this is how I think about it. The first thing you got to do is define what moves the call forward. So that would be where I would start. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think of it that way or do you think of it differently? And what does move a call forward regarding your AI criteria?
Mm, that's a good question. That's a good question. So moving a call forward means that you don't just sit in an area and talk about what they did on their day and how great it was, and how we went to the same high school. moving a
Yeah.
call forward, it means that you've actually extracted information in that area
Mm.
that very clearly connects to the next area.
Okay.
But there's like the section by section, then there's the overarching. So we don't
Mm.
want to get stuck in you have to follow this exact
Mm.
process.
Mm.
But if you were to, maybe we pull apart that. If you were to
Yeah.
talk about relational sales as opposed to control, direction, and momentum in the call.
Yes. Because, if I think about moving a call forward, like, yes, there is the advancing of the storyline element to it. Like, I get that. That's obvious. But what about the soft skill parts of it, where they start seeing you as an ally on the call, stop seeing you as a threat, warm to you, realize that you're of value, you've got good intent, you're someone asking good questions, and they want to be here with you, so they open up more. I don't know how you measure that, but to me, that's advancing a call big time. I mean, such a big part of how you and I sell is basically to be the opposite of a typical salesperson in the first 5 or so minutes of the call, which, whilst it doesn't necessarily move the narrative forward in a discovery sense, like, so tell me about that belly fat you want to lose. Like, we haven't even touched that area yet, discovery. We're getting, we're creating such a massive pattern interrupt. We're getting them to realize that we're not a threat, we're not hostile, we're not self-serving, all of the caricature stuff. We're giving them permission to tell us no. We're mapping out what's going to happen on the call, where it could take us, which can remove anxiety by shining a light in all the areas that might feel dark and unknown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that on some people's metrics that wouldn't be, I'm pretty sure, considered moving a call forward because we haven't even got the discovery yet. For me, it's essential because people don't typically, unless they have to because they have no other option. Typically, they don't buy from people they don't feel comfortable with and don't want to be interacting with and don't want to do business with. Um, and we're doing a lot of work now to establish that sort of stuff. I don't know if that shows up in AI because I don't know what it's programmed to
Yeah.
look for.
So separate topic, but it does show up. So one thing I'm building at the moment is a role play bot, essentially
Mm-hmm.
specific to one company, so that the people that they're working with
Mm-hmm.
can role play and train, and they don't have to freak out when it's their first one or constantly connect. And I was actually using it yesterday. One thing that I didn't train it to do. I got it to do, but I didn't deliberately train it to do that. So at the end of every section, I get it to go through what you did well, what you didn't do well, what you could do better. But one thing that it's done is it does actually pick up on that. One thing you did really well is you eased my concerns, and then when you asked a question about my daughter and the relationship with her, it built this connection which made me feel like this, so that it does actually pick up on
Okay.
all of that.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. So, all right, we've established that. I think we both agree that's part of moving a call forward. So where do we take this call from here?
Mm. One thing that we could talk about is that relationship between what people think works, as in the sales manager, team leader, company
Mm,
owner, what they think works and what actually works.
sure.
So
Sure.
without
And even if you go, sorry to cut you off, even if you go one step beyond that, are they open to a world where what works for you with your personality, your delivery style and vibe that you create
Mhm,
doesn't work for me, and vice versa, but we both get to the same destination,
mhm,
and we both adhere to the same ethos of what we're doing is ethical, is still projecting the company in a positive light. We're just taking different pathways to get there. Are they open to that as a start point, or does it have to be this way? A lot of companies, it has to be this way. A lot of them are like, as long as it's ethical and appropriate, kind of do your thing, and we'll judge you on the outcomes.
mm,
Two different philosophies. I'm generally more of the latter, but it depends on the offer as well. Like, you see these monster offers like Pompa and V-Shred and Legendary Marketer in the past, where they've got 200 or so salespeople. I mean, it probably has to be process orientated. It probably has to be much like McDonald's. There's no room to express yourself in McDonald's, I don't think, if you work there. Whereas if you work in an independent burger store, yeah, kind of do your thing. Um, so horses for courses, I guess.
mm.
You and I are both attracted to offers where it's small teams, maybe it's just us, and we can go in as a strategic partner and help shape the offer, help shape the sales marketing experience, very holistic, and with our fingerprints all over it, and we're left to do our own thing on the sales calls. You and I love those offers, but they're not right for a lot of other people. A lot of other people love being on a Pompa V-Shred type offer, for all sorts of reasons. The trade-off is you probably don't have a lot of freedom, and
Some
that can be
people like that.
that's
I
right.
have
It
some
can be
really good friends that just love the consistency and the direction, and
that's
um,
right. A
that's
lot of
right.
the decisions are made for you, and you just kind of got to show up and do your thing. But you don't. Much like McDonald's again. There's specific training, if then, if then, if then, if then, if then. It's kind of mapped out for you. You just got to do it. Nothing wrong with that. In early stages, in particular of development, it can be quite good. Whether or not you want to stay there long term, it depends on what sort of salesperson you are. So, yeah, horses for courses.
Mm. And it's interesting to see the variations within somewhat of a consistent system. So if you were to pull apart the top four performers calls,
Yep,
number one does things quite different to number two, and then
yep,
so on. But yet their results are quite close. Now, there's always one standout, and you can see what they do, and a lot of that is good rapport, but not overly matey, and direction and control in the call. But
yep,
like what you said before, everyone has their own way of doing things, and if you were to
yep.
force someone like us to try and do hardcore objection handling, that kind of sales, I mean, one, it wouldn't feel authentic, we wouldn't enjoy it, but two, it's not the most efficient route. So
No,
it's getting all of that information, and having people realize that.
yeah. Well, you and I were both on a roll 3 to 4 years ago with a couple other friends that for the first, we were there like nine, just a little bit less than a year, I think, 9, 10, 11 months, give or take, right, deep in COVID times. Um, and for, let's say, the first 3 quarters of that period, we were given the keys, like kind of do your thing. As long as it's ethical and, you're not misrepresenting the company, kind of do your thing. And we had spectacular results. You and I and the other guy we're referring to, Matteo, I think we were top three in sales, or certainly in top three of the top four. Like we're up at about team of
We were one, two, or three, and we equated for between 70 and 80% of total sales for the team.
yeah, yeah, and then that company, which we won't name, and we all move on, so no bad blood, but a great learning experience. They brought in a sales manager for the first time, and all of a sudden, really, really quickly, we lost a lot of the freedom we had to do our thing, and I think all three of us were gone within a month.
Well, to be fair, they
Yeah.
brought in someone to act as a sales manager. Never
Well,
done sales, said he didn't like sales. So I mean, that sales manager's a bit loose.
should we do the tangent story?
Yeah, we can do a bit of a tangent.
There are no names are going to be mentioned here.
No, no
Uh,
names.
at all. But one of the things, I'm a big fan of the book, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I reference that all the time in my training to my students, and I think that's a fantastic book. The first law is never outshine the master. And I absolutely broke this law, but I knew I was doing it. Like I was kind of committing suicide in a way. But we had a sales manager be thrust upon us. We didn't feel we needed one. But anyway, that's another story. And said sales manager came kind of from nowhere, and then we quickly found out somehow, just before we started to interact with him, that he had applied for a different job in the company, not sales related, more fulfillment side. Didn't get it. Someone else did. So A didn't apply to be a sales manager. B uh, had never sold, and he's a sales manager and didn't apply for the role. So we
And
were made
C particularly
aware.
didn't like sales.
I didn't like sales either.
Yeah.
So that was the start point. So we kind of, again, never outshine the master, and I break the law right now. And the results are not surprising. I was out the door a couple of weeks later. But so the first Zoom meeting we had with him, were you on that call? I know
No, it was
Mateo.
called the US and AU teams.
Okay, yeah, so Mateo witnesses. The first call we had with him, and we all had our backs up, and the opening question I gave to him in front of everybody was, I won't say his name, but it was, so name, being that you didn't apply for the role, have never sold and don't like sales, what can we, the sales team, expect to learn from you? That was my opening question to him. You can imagine how well that went down. Uh, I was out the door about a week later.
And just for
Uh,
reference, out the door,
I
we
chose
all
to.
left on our own decision. We were not
I,
removed.
yes.
I still remember my first call with him. I think maybe you had agitated him,
Oh, big
or
time.
maybe that was him. And he came
Big
in just like a bat out of hell. And he was one of those sales managers. You will bow down to me. You will do
Yes.
exactly as I say. I am the authority. I'm the judge, the jury. And that's not how I operate. I've dealt with people like that before and it doesn't work. And the first
Yes.
call, I'm never aggressive, but it got to the point where are we going to go from here? Because if you think you're going to alpha me and disrespect me, that's not going to happen. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that to you, but we're going to have to find a happy medium because this just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I remember I spoke to the company owner and I said to her, um, what's going on here? This is what happened on the call. This is what he said. This is what I said. What's the plan here? And she defended him. Just hop on another call and hop back on. And then he did it
Mm.
again, but even more.
Yeah.
And I just said, all right, I'm hopping off this call. You can stay
Yeah.
here, think about what you've done, figure out what you want to do, but I'm not playing this game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Ugly. Look, that if we want to go to a broader topic, I mean, in our view was they had a marketing problem. They misdiagnosed as a sales problem,
100%.
and therefore brought in that as the solution. And we didn't take it. We resisted it. It didn't appeal to our self-interest. We didn't feel heard, understood, respected, validated, supported, and we were out the door. I went first, and then you guys were like a week or
That
two
was
after.
the most cohesive team I've ever been part of. It was just one big happy family. Everyone was doing well, uh,
Yes.
within reason, within
Yes.
reason. But
Yes.
that was genuinely the most cohesive team of, and then that came in and ruined it. But I think I've
Yeah.
told you this. People that stuck around have mentioned well later that they actually had a little bit of a breakdown on a call, saying that they know they made a mistake and it was wrong,
Mm.
and they shouldn't have done it. But what are you going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, you live and learn.
Mm.
I wouldn't recommend doing what I did. Like the question I did was very hostile. I knew it, but I was kind of like, I'm not going to stick around here. This is how it's going to be. So like I was kind of committing suicide with that question. Um, but I don't regret it.
Mm. No, no. And look at all the things that have happened since.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Fun times. So, I mean, that's another issue, isn't it? Like diagnosing the problem. Is it marketing or sales, or is it both? I mean, that could be a subject for another call. But that was a classic misdiagnosis in our view of not that we're not accountable. Don't think we can get better. Of course we can. But the sales team were performing.
Mm.
Anyway, that's another challenge, another tangent.
I think that that connects. So if you, as the sales manager, salesperson, have
Yes,
the self awareness to acknowledge, yeah, best idea wins, and my idea might not be the best idea. Let's actually look at the data,
yep,
what's going on.
yeah,
Then instead of it being sales starts here, that's where
yeah,
marketing ends, and these two don't talk. It's,
yeah,
well, this is what's happening here. What's
yeah,
going on up there? Oh, that's why people are saying this. Maybe we bring this back and we fix this. But
yes,
again, on the other end, like they might be bringing in fantastic SQLs, sales qualified leads, and
yes,
then dropping them into the sales process. But because the person running the sales team says this is the only way it must be done,
mm,
great leads are getting pushed away because what they need for
mm,
this specific offer is not aligned. And it's just like if you were to take one of the hardcore objection guys and put them on Peter's offer, they
mm.
amazing leads gone. There's no way
Ah,
they wouldn't close.
that just wouldn't work on any level, on any level at all. Yeah, so I think what's the meta lesson here with the tangent and with what we're talking about? It's basically diagnosing a situation correctly. I would say, and I guess beyond that, deciding what's more important to you: control, my way, or a positive outcome. And what do you value higher? I would argue the value, depending on the business model. If it's McDonald's, it's got to be control. But if it's a small independent business, I would say a positive outcome. Like if you're hiring the sales guy and he's capable or she's capable, like empower them to do their role and do it well. As long as they're ethical and representing your company
There's
positive.
the other side of that as well, though. There are a lot of people that think they know best, and there's not that many that do. But I
Are we
think
talking sales people or offer owners, sales managers? What?
everything or across the board. But
Sure,
I think
sure.
the benefit that I have doing all of the analysis the way I do with AI and building from there, this is not my opinion. This is not. This is an unbiased opinion by, at most of the time, multiple different large language models, and I
Yeah,
can present this to them and say, if you want it to be that way, that's cool. But like, this is what the data says. Not
Yeah.
what I say, not what you say, not what they say.
Yeah.
This is the data, and they can't refute that. It's oh,
Sure.
well, I mean, it's very clear. It's just there.
Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Um, cool. 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 Have we put a bow around it, or is there a final point to bring it home?
No, I'm happy with that. I'm just enjoying this, and I thought it'd be a good topic to cover. But
Yes.
I
Yes.
will, yeah, we'll come up with another one for next week.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Well, short and sweet today. I'm off to the States tomorrow, so I've got my annual summit that I go to around all those people that I didn't try and hardcore objection handle close. This is the thing on my offer. I spend a week with them every year. So that's an extra incentive to carry myself in a dignified way and build out a relationship over, just hardcore close and whatever happens. I've got to spend a week with them. We're staying at the same hotel. We spent 5 days together. So I fly out in the morning. So it's going to be a big week for me. So I look forward to seeing you next week, and I'll have some new stories.
Perfect. We'll talk about it then.
See you then.